I think Luke's doing an impromptu signing of a book.
Yeah, it's fine.
Impromptu cartoon.
You good?
Yeah.
Do you need to pass that to someone? I was thinking of someone off camera, but yeah.
The bookshop owner.
I do.
And thank you for having it here.
I was about to thank you for hosting it as well. But yeah, I do have some thank yous just to start off. So, to Read on Sea and to Manuel for hosting. This is such a beautiful space, and as someone that loves books, to be doing this in a bookshop is incredible. And the space that you built for the community is incredible too. So thank you very much for agreeing to squeeze us all in. And then I need to thank the panel as well for agreeing to do this, because I know Luke's enjoying his red wine. This is out of a lot of people's comfort zones, and it's a big thing to not just come on a podcast and have a conversation, but to do it in front of a live audience. There's a bit more weight to that. So thank you guys. I couldn't do it without you. It'd be very boring if I was just speaking into a mic. I want to thank Tom, who's sat in the corner there. Tom is my long-suffering collaborator in this journey. I could not do it without him. He is the brains and the man behind all the technical stuff. The biggest compliment we get is that it looks and sounds great. It's not to do with my conversation. It's to do with what Tom does on the back end of it, and it's just an incredible job. So thank you so much, Tom. And I do want to thank Sophie for indulging me in this passion project. I take time away from my family. I spend far too much money on making this a thing. And without you, I couldn't do it. So thank you so much. As we've already said, and Katie, thank you so much for standing up, because yeah, you didn't have to do that, but I think it really means so much. Katie was a guest on the podcast, and I've known of Gold Geese for a long time, but her episode moved so many people, and if you've had a chance to listen to it, it was really touching. And yeah, just to know that all of the ticket sales for this event, 100% of that is going to Gold Geese. 100% of merch sales, we will be selling some JobsWorth merch as well. 100% of any sales. I did say in a video earlier, 100% of merch. You don't want the t-shirts and mugs, but 100% of the proceeds from that merch will go to Gold Geese too. So thank you all to be supporting such a worthwhile charity. So I think you all deserve a massive round of applause for doing it. And please keep that in mind if the quality of this evening is crap.
It's all for charity.
It's all for charity. So your money's going in the right place.
No production costs, all charity.
All charity, yeah. Exactly, yeah. So JobsWorth started off, if I'm really honest, as a marketing tool for my recruitment agency. It was my goal that people would listen in, clients particularly, hear me talking about work and think, I really want to hire some people from John. And that's never happened once in 2 years of doing the podcast. What happened instead is we started to build this community. I started to get a lot of messages from people that were saying they were inspired by the stories they were hearing. And I think that's what's kept us going for the last 2 years. And I think we're on 77 episodes of this week. And it's that mission and drive, and I guess that's the goal of the podcast now, to inspire people to really think about reframing or recalibrating their relationship with work. I, in my day job as a recruitment consultant, can hear the groans even if they're silent, speak to so many people that are unhappy in their job. And the best calls I ever have are with people that just show you a little chink that actually, I want to go off and do something else. I want to follow a passion. I want to go and try something different. So this podcast, as well as I think in the Leigh community, a lot of people like to listen to, because it's nice that everyone's curious. I'm going to say curious rather than nosy. Everyone's curious, which is great. So it's nice to hear those stories, but hopefully a big byproduct of it is people leave inspired after they've listened to an episode. You know, the other thing as well, it's so lovely that I'm seeing so many previous guests. And I don't know if it's because you're upset that you weren't invited onto the panel this time round. It's the first one. I couldn't have you all up here, but just to know that support and it's left something with you. Everyone that's ever come on has left this indelible mark. And Mike and Mark that are sat at the back, I now share a space with, and we've become really good friends. And that's just that power of connection and actually sitting across from people. I love it.
They were shaking their heads when you said that.
Yeah, I know. They're not on camera, so it's fine. Yeah, and to think that something that started in a small office in Southend, and this is where we recorded, and a few of the guests that I've had, Paul as well, that came on. We were sat in my office in Southend with no cameras, with a very shanky setup.
A lot of Lego.
A lot. You came and recorded. Katie recorded. This was pre-video days. A lot of Lego. Thank you.
Yeah.
You commented on that as you came in. I think. Yeah. And now to think that this has brought 30 plus people into a room is just amazing. Like, how cool is it to all be in a physical space together when so much of what we do now is online, is through a screen, including what we do. And now we're all here, sat here, hopefully about to enjoy less of me rambling. But anyway, so thank you for being part of the community that we've built. Intros. So tonight, we don't just have me interviewing one guest, we have a panel of guests. So I'm going to be speaking a lot less than I usually do, which is, I'm grateful for it anyway.
What you think?
Yeah, well, well, that's the goal. So we've got Manuel, who is the founder of Read on Sea, and is the man behind this space. You set up in December 2023?
Yep, that's
Ish?
right. 2 years this December.
2 years. So you're about to celebrate your second anniversary, which is incredible. We've got Luke Adam Hawker, and yes, we've got the same surname. Yes, he's my little brother. He's an artist and an illustrator and an author, and annoyingly talented, but he had to come on. And we've got... had to, you insisted, but thank you for doing it. And we've got Charlotte Debond, who is the co-founder of The Boundary, which is an incredible wedding and events venue that I have been to so many times, and it is just amazing. Charlotte is also the person that has probably connected with more guests than anyone else. She's the most well-networked person in Leigh. The most nosy
Also
person,
known as
curious,
nosy.
yeah.
Nosy, yeah.
The most curious person in Leigh. So thank you so much for all getting involved. Luke has very kindly agreed to sign books. If anyone does want to buy the latest copy of his book,
Just my book, not
Anyone.
any book.
you've got so much choice.
I could.
You could just leave some messages, draw some pictures. Yeah. That would actually be quite cool. But yeah, his own book. Yeah. That might be handy. Yeah. So he's agreed to do that. So if you want to stay around at the end, I think we're still going to stay open for some drinks after and see who wants to stick around. So we're going to start with a question. Now, this is not a kind of call and response type thing. I want there to be some debate. I want there to be some conversation.
Not
from
the number one, etc.
Yeah, no, it's not blind date or anything like that. But there will be time to
I can
ask.
see both contenders.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it just takes the mystique away,
my
doesn't it?
husband's
Yeah. Awkward. Yeah. Oh yeah, that could work now. You just don't know. We'll pitch that to a TV channel.
Next, write it down.
Yeah. I should. You can see my notes as well.
That's right. I'm
Don't
not
cheat. Okay, right, cool. So the first question I'm going to ask is, can you remember? And I will direct this at someone. Can you remember the moment that you realised something about your relationship with work needed to change? And I'm going to start with Manuel because he's nodding.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if it was a specific, aha moment, but it was definitely quite a quick transition from that. Unfortunately, I was working for a startup which collapsed under its own weight. And I ended up in a job that had an incredibly long commute. And I started coming home after my daughter was going to sleep. I would leave the house. She wasn't yet awake. And after a couple of weeks of this, it kind of, hit home. And I thought, this is not really something that I want to be doing for much longer.
So when that seed set into your mind, you're saying fortnight or so before you kind of came to the conclusion that something needed to change. And so much of that is usually time away from family, right? If that starts to be impacted with a young family, that beds that in. Gone in, Luke. What was the moment?
I realised I needed to quit my job.
Yeah, or
In a
change.
nutshell.
You know, the start of something. You know,
Yeah,
the seed
no,
was
sure.
the seed was sown.
Yeah. So I can't remember a specific. Maybe I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay.
So I studied interior architecture and design. This is it in a nutshell. And then I was in the industry as an interior designer, headhunted for this company, and I was pulled away by the lure of more money. And then it was working for the Saudi royal family. So I'm on camera and recorded, aren't I? So
That's
I can't say
okay.
Too much.
We can sort that out. Yeah, it's not live.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, I got to the point where the reason where I was putting my effort was in the wrong people, and the pay I was getting was less important than the end result and the kind of the why. And then in tandem with that kind of being disenfranchised with the industry as a whole, especially the higher end in part of it, I was out drawing with my sketchbooks, and then I realized that all I really wanted to be doing was out drawing. And so I'd be going out at lunch breaks, out after work, every opportunity. So then I was selling my work as a bit of a kind of let's experiment with this at markets. And as soon as I could cover my rent, I quit my job. So I guess it was like all this kind of, it wasn't like a sudden moment. Maybe it was, but I'm not willing to go into it. The exact detail of that recorded comes to me after. But yeah, just basically realizing like, who are you working for? That was a real moment that I thought it helped push me into my, I guess, where I was already being pulled away, which is my kind of soul art practice.
But this is a generalisation. It's making an assumption, Manuel, because I don't know much about your story. You're the only one of our panel who hasn't yet been a guest. So this is all new to us. Yeah, I know.
Right.
Mysterious. Again, this is shrouded in mystery. But the assumption would be that you've all moved on to do work and jobs with more meaning, more purpose, that you feel more connected to. Is that fair to say? Okay, yeah. Charlotte, do you remember?
Yeah, mine happened with sort of a crash of 3 events all at the same time. So I had my daughter, Nora, my first, and during that maternity, COVID hit. And then part of that, I got made redundant from a job that I'd been in for 12 years and given everything to, I felt like. At that time, it felt like the most important thing. And yet, once I got that redundancy, I knew I was just a number. And actually that was something that I realised, why am I giving everything to something when I'm not that to them?
Yeah, I remember when we had the initial conversation, you were saying that you had given, I think we used the word family, right?
Yeah, I genuinely would say I felt like that business, like that company was part of my family. And actually when it came to it, I was a number.
Yeah, it's quite a trifecta to happen as well, isn't it? Obviously the transformative effect of having a kid and becoming a mum. COVID,
Yeah.
which I try not to sound the podcast too much anymore, but it seems to be the catalyst for so much change and redundancy.
Yeah.
It's quite the hit.
Yeah, it was massive. But equally now, 7 years later, we started the business 7 years ago, but now I can see it was the most positive thing that's ever happened. But at the time, it is crazy when you're thinking that everything has crashed. And actually, it was at that moment, I actually remember sitting at home, ringing Dean, my husband, and being so upset that I'd been made redundant, but actually thinking I will never let myself feel like this again. And that was my moment, that I would never go and work for a company, that I would become just a number. And I'm not saying every company does that, because there is lots of companies out there that now treat people so much better. And I think probably a really great thing that's come from COVID is people do treat people better. Maybe not, but...
Generally speaking.
Yeah, I think people have got a little bit more, and I wouldn't want to be in that situation again.
Okay. You talked about your husband Dean, and the support around that time, and I want to know how important the support of people, doesn't have to be your other half, but the support of people is in that situation. So I guess the question, I'm going to start with Luke this time. How important was the support you had around you at the time in making that transition? In this case, for all of us working for ourselves, we talk about changing your relationship with work. It doesn't mean you have to start a business.
Yeah.
But in our case, it has.
Yeah.
I think I've been really lucky that I've always had really strong support. If I want to do something, I know that my family has my back. And so it's almost like it'd be more noticeable if my family weren't so nice the whole time. And then they got behind me on this kind of what seems like a bit of a wild venture. But I think if I focus on Lizzie, my now wife, then girlfriend, that support was integral, because I mean, she literally bought my first plan chest off of eBay. So she kind of knew where it was going almost before I did. So, and and especially making that change, it was very kind of important to have that. But then now it's even more important with a young family, you know, like the way you thanked Sophie. It's this, whatever you take on as extra work, which as an artist is surprisingly a lot, they pick up the slack, and they pick up where I am kind of vacant. They are there, they being Lizzie and Mum.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I guess it's everything. It's I couldn't do it on my own. And when I first became an artist, it was really just me. I had to cover my rent. I was in London, lived in London for 10 years. And at the start of it, it was just me. So it was a no-brainer. But now as you build complexity and responsibility is really there, it's even more important.
Yeah. Manuel, what about you? I think I just wonder if you didn't have the support you had, would the outcome have been the same?
No, absolutely not. And I think that's what a lot of people think, you know, oh, this guy or this woman is a self-made person. And they might have done, let's say, the work themselves, but they wouldn't have been able to do that work without any of that support behind them, you know. I mean, in my case, it was a lot of the things about this bookshop were lengthy discussions. You know, where should we put the shelves? What color should we paint the shelves? Should we, you know, put shelves in the middle, not in the middle? Should we put a rug, not a rug? All those little things were, you know, long discussions with my wife, and it came out this way because of that. If I would have done it on my own, it would have come out completely different. But even if I would have done it on my own, as he says, you still need somebody there, because you can't do both. You can't do this and everything else that needs doing.
Understood. Charlotte, if Dean had turned round to you at the time and you said, I'm going all in on the boundary, and said something different to what he did say, like against it, or been critical about it, you might be about to tell me that he was. Which is also fine.
She's betting
yeah. But how much would that have impacted your decision to go all in?
Oh, massively. Like, you need backing from everyone around you, I think. I'm pretty strong-willed, so I think I would have got there eventually.
Yeah.
So we did.
You just made it slower. Maybe.
Yeah, but I've got a really supportive family, really supportive friends. Everyone was kind of like, yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's great. And even if you're not believing in yourself, it takes everyone else still saying, yeah, it's good, you're doing well. That sounds cool.
Yeah, so that's external validation, right? So an example. So people saying, I've spoken very candidly on the podcast about my need for external validation, which is why it's lovely to sit in a room of 30 people that have all bought a ticket. Exactly.
You're doing really well.
I'm not.
Really
thank you so much. Thank you. That's why I just sporadically ask for a round of applause.
Yeah. Is he doing all right, everyone?
Yeah. Thank you. But it's a big thing, and I think without sometimes that validation, if you've not got people providing that feedback in real time, it's really hard to keep going under your own steam. Would you say that's true?
Definitely, but then I think probably in a lot of people that have started their own business, I'm certainly like, if someone tells me I can't, I'm going to go and do it anyway. And I'm going to give it my best shot.
Okay, do you share that view? If so, have you got that about you? If you hear someone saying you can't do it, have you got that kind of...
I think so.
Stick-to-itiveness to go for it?
I think it's more...
Manuel's noise alone.
I think with Charlotte's story, it makes total sense, because you were working for business, you gave them your all, and then you realised that it is a business. And so to really take control and stop that happening again, the only way really is to have one of your own.
Yeah.
So for you, that's probably a more prevalent feeling, whereas I don't feel that, because it was very much like a clean step away from something that I was actually enjoying. So it was.
Yep.
So it was
I
different.
still feel like I'm a little bit like, watch me.
Really?
Yeah.
Who
I'll keep going.
Who are you asking to watch you?
Anyone.
Name and shame. Name and shame.
Anybody, everybody.
No, there is like people from like there's not necessarily people from my past job, but just a little bit like that wasn't the only way for success. I knew that there was other ways I could achieve what I wanted
Different
to.
avenues,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I
If
think-
someone
I
says
think
no,
it
I'm
also-
going to keep going and do it anyway. Not do it anyway. That sounds a bit like that I would do something against what people think. But if people are worried about things, I'm still a bit like, no, it'll be all right. We'll keep going. Watch me. We'll do it.
I
pushy.
love that though. I feel like I could do with an injection of that sometimes
All right.
and just keep pushing through. But yeah, okay.
I was kind of hemming and hawing because I don't know, with a business, because it doesn't depend solely on you. If it was a pure individual kind of thing, like I'm going to run a marathon and people are, you're crazy, you're never going to be able to do it, then I would absolutely be like what you're saying. But with a business, sometimes no matter how hard you push, and I've been in companies that are like that are started by a very idealistic founder, and he absolutely, this is going to work no matter what, I'm going to make it happen. And then you see that it doesn't for, various reasons. The economy gets shot, or it's the wrong product at the wrong time, et cetera, et cetera.
So there's a lot of variables, right? at
Yeah,
play.
with a business, I think it's more, you got to see what happens. The government could turn around tomorrow and say, you know what, we're going to raise taxes by 50%, and then suddenly you're blown out of the water.
It's a great example of a variable that is completely out of your control as well. Talk to me about imposter syndrome. Is it overused now? Is it a bit of a buzzword? Is it something that is bandied around so often that it's lost all meaning? I guess I'm interested in, do you suffer from it? How do you define it? How do you overcome it? Luke?
Yeah, I mean, imposter syndrome, self-doubt, like just
Whatever label you want to use it,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
But I think it's a very human thing. I don't think it's an unhealthy thing to kind of. It can feel it when you're trapped in that, and I've had it. Of course, I've had it, and I think I was asked this the other day. Like, what do you think? Lots of people attempt kind of artistry as a profession, and I think the big thing that makes a success of being an artist is just keeping the faith, like in those moments of a really big wobble. And sometimes it can be over something small, like just one drawing I just cannot get. And normally it's the book work, because there's loads of pressure, because it's going to be printed so many times and it's going to outlive me. And then you overthink it. With my the book I've literally just finished, not Firefly, but To Those Who Speak, which is my next title. There was lots of that because it was very heavily wrapped in my personal life, and there was so much meaning. So it's often you have that self-doubt and imposter syndrome when something matters most. So it's probably not a bad sign that you're getting it, because it's like, this really matters. And as humans, we're really good at noticing negative things, which is why the headlines are the way they are.
Yeah,
and,
of course, yeah.
and I think we do that to ourselves. So I think when you have that come in, and I've become quite good. Lizzie, my wife's probably laughing, but I've become quite good of getting through that. And sometimes it does take like a trusted voice to say, "Don't be an idiot." And validation, which is also a really important part of the process. Sometimes you need someone to show you what you've already achieved, or just to say, "Oh, get a grip," like something to snap you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a part of the process.
Charlotte, how do you overcome it if you have experienced it?
I think where I work so we do a lot of weddings. We do lots of other things as well, but mainly weddings, which is where it probably comes through the most, because it's the biggest days of people's lives. I feel like adrenaline does get me through a lot of it. I have no choice.
I've seen you at work.
I have no choice but to keep going and get through these days and give people the best day of their lives. So I suppose it's more that there's no choice to get through it. But then equally, I think in those moments of any calm, it's very good to look back and see how far you've come. And then actually the reason people are booking you, or the reason the people keep recommending you, is because you're doing a good job.
You've now got credibility.
Yeah.
It's quite hard in the first instance, though, isn't it? Because you need the back catalogue of success to be able to look back on it to say, oh, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah, but I suppose everyone trusts themselves to a certain extent to go out and do it. That you've got to dig deep and find that bit to keep going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have started it to begin with.
No, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
There has to be an element of self-belief. And yeah. Okay.
I think, and what you were saying, I think that, that body of work, that people start seeing that you can do it. What I've learned in this business is that definitely you start to build quite a lot of goodwill, whenever you do make a mistake, or if it's something out of your control, delivery van broke down and the person's delivery didn't come and they were expecting it today, and you tell them this and they're extremely understanding, and you build that sort of goodwill and they're like, oh, it's fine, no matter, we'll do it next time or whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna sprinkle a few statements in that I hope are divisive, and so the first one is everyone is winging it. 76 episodes. I said it earlier, but I can't remember. 76 episodes off mic. Funnily enough, before or after recording, people always go, "God, everyone's making it up, aren't they? Everyone is winging it. Everyone's making it up." Is that true?
Yes.
Should we ask you?
Yes.
To be honest, John's just
Look
told
at
us.
this.
He's on 77 episodes.
Yeah, but look, has everyone said it?
It's
No,
an observation.
But a common conversation that's had away from the mics is always everyone is making it up. Oh God, I don't like.
I think you have it's that maiden flight, right?
Yeah.
My case, you're not an artist until you are being an artist. Mm-hmm. So those first few commissions, it does feel a bit like, oh, I am winging it here. Yeah. But you're winging it until you're not. You're just flying. So it's just.
Leanne, who came on this week as a guest, said what was the phrase she used? It'd be really awkward if I forgot it right now, wouldn't it? She was
just wing it.
Building, just wing it. I'll just make it up. Building the plane while flying it. And just the analogy, I think the imagery around that is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I like that. It's got more complexity. And
But the fact that you got it flying to be able to build it, that to me says that you're not winging it as much as you think you are.
Is it even a negative thing to be winging it if everyone's doing it?
No. Well, at some point you have to be.
You've got to take a chance. You have to push yourself and get out of your comfort zone.
Depends if you're a surgeon or depends what you do. I think what you're doing matters.
There are professions in which maybe winging it is not where you want to go.
Oh my God, you're alive!
I was just winging it.
This is really unexpected.
I'll do another one
the
now.
ambulance here. This is amazing.
Okay. If you had a chance to tell a room full of 35 people what the hardest thing about working for yourself is, what would it be, Charlotte?
John ringing you up and asking you to do stuff like this. Hardest thing working for yourself is...
it could be about your industry. You could have stories about some Bridezilla
or
some Broomzilla.
I think the hardest thing is care. I actually think I care too much, which now I thought I cared too much when I worked for someone else, and now I realise I care not too much, but you don't turn off. I know you get that in every podcast, but there is no switch off because, okay, we can all try and control not answering the phone, not looking at emails, but if something does happen, there is no choice but to deal with it. Whereas when you work for someone, you can go on holiday and someone might be picking up your work. I understand that obviously you can employ people and they can help you take that load, but the hardest thing of having your own business is that you genuinely care so much about every detail.
Yeah. When you first started saying it sounded like the interview question, what's your biggest weakness?
Slightly.
But I get it. You are ultimately accountable. And that inability, I would say, to switch off as a business owner is like, I know so many people sat in the audience operate their own business and run their own thing. So maybe I'm not going to ask you to put your hands up, but I can already see this recognition in your faces that it's so hard to separate your personal life and work life, and they're so interlinked and interwoven. Is there a counter argument though?
It's not a counter argument. It's just the flip side, because that's the very reason why it's good. So it's the same reason. If it's like, what's the best thing about? Well, I'm doing something I really care about.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing? I care too much.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So,
what's the hardest part of your job then?
Hardest part of my job is probably, it can be lonely, like, because I spend so much time on the work. And normally it's kind of on my own, and it's through the evening and in my studio. Yeah, on my own. Again, it's
on my own.
On my own.
Whistle. I get the violin out. No, but again, it's like, what do you like? And it's like, there's some of that I really like. I like that I can form this completely controllable, my own space around it. I think I'm feeling that, and probably I said that most because I've been working on books a lot this last year.
On your own.
On my own. Thank you. I forgot.
Sorry.
But ordinarily I'm out of the ease, and it's far more diverse practice as an artist. So I'm going to listen to this back and be like, make sure you get out your easel more.
Yeah.
Don't sound like such a loner.
But that is a huge plus as well. I mean, in my last job, other than the horrendous commute and so on and so forth, I worked for an aerospace/defense company, right? And a lot of the projects, although I wasn't involved in them, you could see some of the projects and you think, I don't really want to be doing that. I don't want to be involved in that business, you know? And then when you're working for yourself, not only do you, as you say, care too much, but you do something that you're not constantly thinking, this is stupid, I don't agree with this, why would I be doing this? Whereas I've had many experiences where you think, I don't believe in this project at all, and I think these decisions are ridiculous, and I'm just going through the motions because I don't agree with anything that's being done here.
So that's a disconnect from purpose and meaning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's one of the biggest reasons people become keen to either leave the job they're in or start something themselves that they are more connected to.
Yeah.
This is a broad question, and I guess I'm going to ask for a succinct answer. But what sacrifices, or can you think of any sacrifices you've had to make to get where you are now? I'm looking at you. So
you are looking at me. Sacrifice, I think it just comes down to time, really. Is probably one of the biggest sacrifices. So you have to give up, well, I've had to give up, I'm not saying everyone has, but I've had to give up maybe more personal time to build the brand or to build the business. But then you get that back. So it's like at a point of the business.
You could disagree that sacrifice is not the right word to use.
No, I think it is.
It is the right word.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think you have to sacrifice. The analogy again is cups, right? Each of your cups has an amount of water in it, and you are tipping different amounts of water in each cup at any given time. You could call it plate spinning. Would you agree with that, Luke?
You have not heard the cups one?
Haven't heard the cups one?
No.
That's another one from Leanne's episode, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
There's some gold in there.
Plates works better. I think my biggest sacrifice, just answering your question in a very simple way, is probably sleep.
That's parenting as well.
No. I think
No, I agree.
that's in combination.
Yeah,
but
I do think.
if you have your own thing, whatever it is, even if it's not, you just, I don't sleep much. As you can tell, I am the younger brother. Add the gasp sound effect.
Yeah. I'm glad it's you that's brought that up. Manuel, sacrifice.
I heard it in the crowd.
I think it goes back to your last question, switching off. You know, you're at a corporate job, you want to take a week off holiday, you just send a little email saying, I'll be away from this day to this day, thank you, bye, and that's it, and you do it. Whereas here, you know, and I've missed out on a few things that I would have loved to have done because my wife and my daughter, you know, do it, and I can't take a whole week off to go and do it with them.
Great point to ask this question, and you can all answer at the same time. If you want, just chime in. Is it worth it?
Yep.
I'd be awkward if I said no now. Yeah, no, it's worth it.
I think, yeah.
No, it's
I'm nodding.
Unanimous.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the,
Yes.
yeah. For the audio,
Yeah.
Luke is nodding. What does being your own boss give you that working for someone else never did, Manuel?
I guess you get to pick your direction. And particularly if you're working for a big company, that is absolutely not going to happen. You know, you go wherever the company goes. Whereas working on your own, you think, I want to take this, you know, I don't know, global. I want to open 20 franchises, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know what, one bookshop is enough for me, and that's fine. And you can make that decision on your own, and that's perfectly, you know, good.
Yeah. You're in control, master of your own destiny to a degree. Variables at
Good
play and all
caveat,
that
to
stuff.
a degree,
To
yeah.
a degree, yeah. Okay. Luke, you've been, I think you've probably worked for yourself out of all of us the longest as a freelancer, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, I should have researched that.
Unbelievable.
Look it up before you make
you know
statements.
it.
I know.
I would hope you'd
But I'm
know.
just thinking relatively. But yeah, what do you think working for yourself has given you over working for someone else? I mean, your path to want to work for yourself was wanting more freedom. I was listening to another podcast that you did. Can't believe it. You've been on another podcast, but you talked
Betrayal.
about freedom being one of the motivators for you.
Yeah, so that has been really the main motivator. And I think I really felt it in that initial breakaway from, I guess, typical employment, because I was able to travel, and my work is all about luckily, it's about being present. So I kind of saw the opportunity there where if I can form a career around me being present, then it can't go wrong in a way. So I think that freedom to realize that, and then doing the traveling, and just the fact that the drawing is like this byproduct of the process. So in a way, it's, whoever came up with it is a genius, really, because it means that you can really devote yourself to things you're fascinated by, i.e. the subject, and the outcome can be monetized, and people can support your fascination because they share that fascination. Like trees, for example, ancient trees, which is like my main subject and passion. Moving from architecture over the decade, it's moved in that direction. And I think it never would have, the drawings have changed, and with that my own passions and fascinations have changed, and I wouldn't have got there without that freedom, without that drawing. So it grows and grows. And I think the freedom of time, obviously I have less of it now because I've got a young family and, you know, all of that complexity along with it. But I'd say in the early days especially, the freedom was just felt like, oh my God, this is amazing.
You're liberated. In a
Far
way,
less
aren't
money. I was on far less money, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. And then responsibility comes in, and you're like, still need the money.
But we also talk about, to go back to the point around sacrifice, you make financial sacrifices, right? When you start, especially when you're starting out. Who knows, longer term, it might be a payoff, but definitely in the early days of setting up, you have to admit that is a sacrifice that you make. Here's another statement. Are we ready?
Go on then.
You can. I don't want to start an argument.
Do we need to gasp?
No, you don't have to gasp. I don't want a fake reaction.
It's been way too tame so far. We
I
need
know,
to get
what?
a little more heated.
Pick up a chair. There is more.
There's no spare.
There's no spares. Oh, there's one there. There is more job security being permanently employed.
No.
Well, especially, I guess.
Yeah, no,
you
I
were-
wouldn't say that. So my previous company I worked for 12 years, but got made redundant twice. So I didn't really work for them for 12 years.
Like a boomerang.
A little bit, yeah. And actually, when I got made redundant the second time, it definitely made me realise that there was no security, and being my own boss means there is the security because I know what's going on, I know what's changing, whereas I was given false security because I was told, no, we're okay, we're all going to stick with where we're going and who we've got, and actually a meeting happened without me and I was the person that was going.
It's a knowledge is power thing, right? When you're steering the ship, you're at the
Yeah.
front, you're looking through the windscreen. Is that what they
Yeah.
call it on a ship? I'm not sure.
I mean, as a business, we're booking people years in advance. I can see where we're going with like the bookings we've got. Obviously, things could change and we all know that.
But you know what's coming round the corner.
Yeah.
You've got a map of sorts.
Yeah,
and
so
you've
I
got a
feel more
forecast.
secure doing what I'm doing now, even though I'm having to drive the business,
Yeah.
rather than without knowing and just
Yeah,
hoping.
you're not blindsided.
No.
So we had a bit of a counter argument with this. We had Jimbo from North On, who said made the statement there is more security in being permanently employed. What your stance on it?
Whew, that's tricky. I mean,
No caveats, unfortunately. You just got one side of the fence.
yeah,
No justification.
black or white. I don't know. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It is a tough question. I mean, again, I through my line of work and what I do for a living every day in recruiting people and speaking to people that are at risk of redundancy, I would say that statement is incorrect. That there is more job security than being permanently employed. Yes, you may get a paycheck. Yes, you may have holiday pay and sick pay and all these benefits, but you're at the mercy of someone else at any point. And redundancy for you came out of the blue.
Yeah, I mean, we were in COVID, but it still came out of the blue.
Yeah.
How do you define security? Before I answer, I'm still thinking.
Oh, great question. You've countered me completely. I guess the knowledge that you have a job and you have financial income coming through. And
Then it has
a
to
way
be
support
working for yourself then.
that is more
Yeah,
secure.
security. If you're talking about life security, like kind of, especially with a family, there's a lot of big companies that really get behind, all the perks, and I think you won't have that control. Obviously, if you work for yourself, you're probably not going to suddenly fire yourself. That's a no-brainer. However,
Yeah, I've definitely thought about it.
you felt like it. Yeah. However, obviously, you're less. Normally, you're a smaller scale business. You're more susceptible with the tides of the people that support you, my collectors, your customers.
Yeah.
Likewise, really turbulent for you potentially because it's brides. So
and that's exactly it. That's why it's so tough to answer, because with a big company, I mean, I've worked for companies that have 200,000 employees. There's that much more of a cushion. If they fire 100 people out of 200,000, well, yeah, that's
So you're less exposed, but you're still as high at risk, and you don't know, because not having the visibility of the direction and the forecast, it can come from anywhere, can't it? And I speak to a lot of people, and I'm not challenging that opinion. I guess the counter would be I speak to a lot of people that talk about redundancy or the fallout of that like a kind of grief, especially if you've committed to a business and seen them as family. When that gets taken away from you, I think there is so much power in having autonomy of running your own business and knowing if it could potentially.
can we have a poll with the audience? Because I feel like we're still flitting.
Shall we do one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right, show of hands. If you agree with this statement, there is more job security in being permanently employed. Do you agree with that?
I think so.
Not
Okay.
as many, though.
Not as many. So if you disagree with that
Considerable
statement,
chunk.
can you put your hand up? Okay. There's no right or wrongs.
I'm just interested to see.
It's good. It's a good visual thing. Fortunately, the cameras aren't on everyone. But, okay, the last question I'm going to ask you before the break. So each of you, I'm sure, could do a whole podcast episode on this. But again, I'm going to ask you to try and give me your best soundbite. Don't think about it, but drink your wine.
Yeah. Don't think about it, just speak.
So I guess I was teeing up this question. Imagine you are talking to someone who's permanently employed, but they have a desire or a fire in them to want to go and set up on their own or work for themselves or start a business. What advice are you going to give someone wanting to do that? Charlotte.
Research.
All right, Manuel, go for it.
Research, absolutely. You have to go in there and do as much research as absolutely possible, because very often, and I had started a business of my own years ago when I was still doing engineering. And after the fact, I thought, I didn't look into this, I didn't look into this, I didn't look into this. And those things that I didn't look into completely killed me. So that.
So you've learned through experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it took almost a year of research before opening this bookshop.
So interesting point, when we're talking about winging it, would you, like a year of research? I mean, when I started my recruitment agency, I was definitely building the plane while flying it. Like, I should have done more research. I mean, it's a great bit of advice, but it shows maybe your approach to it was the right one to take. Like, doing that research has obviously put you in a good position.
Well, because it's also such a niche business, you know, everybody's, you know, the question invariably I got asked was, well, what about Amazon? And what about books online and this and that? And then you have to, you know, counter argue that. So with something that's this niche, you definitely need to look into it. Yeah.
Understood. Luke, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I don't. No, I don't. But I find it a really tricky question. So we're picking this kind of typical example, or hypothetical. I don't want to lead my friend astray into homelessness, basically.
Yeah.
What are they? Who are they? What are they doing? What do they want to do?
I'm not going to give you a character profile.
So, that's tricky.
Yeah.
What did you say to
tricky.
John?
Don't do it. I said he just won't have the discipline, brother.
Thank you. I can't imagine someone coming to you and saying, I've got this, for want of a better cliche, I've got this fire in my belly, I want to do something that I'm passionate about. What's the advice you give to that person?
Oh, you want to nurture that, obviously. And of course, let's presume they have some kind of knowledge of it, and I see a path of success, then I'd absolutely get behind them. I know that's a bit of a cop out.
Slightly.
Yeah.
So
okay.
If they're good and going to be successful and they're going to do well, then yes.
You want too much of the question.
Yeah.
I think I would say to most people, do it. I think you do need to know your direction if you're going to, you do need to have more than just a passion. It does need to be more, it needs to be a real business. However, we get one life, one shot, and most people, if they're brave enough to even think it, then I think you've got to find the legs to make it work. And why not?
I thought you were going to start quoting Eminem there for a second.
And I think on that note, we're going to have a break now. So thank you guys.
Cue
it's
Eminem.
15 minutes and then we'll be back.
Yeah, cue Eminem.
Thank you. Well done. Okay, so we're gonna start back up again with this question. How have you changed as a person since starting your own business, Charlotte?
Great. Well, we were sort of just having this conversation a little bit. That I think
we were.
Since I think it's slightly to do with getting older and not caring as much. Slightly since having children, I think I don't want them to think about caring too much about what people think. That I'm a little bit more like, fuck it, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
And I'm not so scared of what people think or scared of trying something and if it doesn't work out. Whereas before starting my business, I was definitely more scared of that.
I'll say it now because we're recording. But do you wish you felt more of that when you were younger? If it's almost like
no, because I would have been horrible.
Really?
That's horrifying to think of.
The whole, with great power comes great responsibility. Like getting it as you're older may be
I've got
positive
slightly
thing.
more control on it now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, same question for you, Manuel. How have you changed since starting your own business? And we're talking about you having already started a business too. So this is another business now. But how has it changed you?
I think it's more kind of a fuck it moment. But I'm thinking much more holistically, long term, more big picture kind of a thing. You know, when you work for a company, you just go in, I'm clocking out, I don't care, you know, whatever. Whereas now it's like, well, what's going to happen in a year's time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time? You start really mulling these things over. So I'm much more future oriented, I guess.
Yeah.
You want to call it that?
I like that. Luke?
I think following on from you, it's like a similar realization that how I've changed as a person, I probably am more considerate of my actions, leaving an impression. So legacy as a pursuit, but aware of the potential folly of a legacy, like kind of the importance of what you leave behind, reflecting your own importance. That's not healthy, but that's why I think when I'm now in the world of books, that brings me a lot of comfort. That's how I would describe it. Comfort that long after I'm gone, those books are going to be still kind of influencing people, even if it's just like the odd person here and there around the world. It'll be really special to kind of know that that's just going to carry on.
Had that
comforting.
Had that focus on legacy happened before you had kids?
Yes, but obviously not to the same degree. But yeah, I think it would have been a conclusion. I think kids kind of like speed things up. I think there's a lot of emphasis on kids being such a wholly transformative part of our lives, and they are of course if we're like if we can have them. But also people do get there. It's just they get there differently. I think that I'd say in a nutshell, it's that focus on legacy and trying to be like, I think of myself into not being here. That sounds quite morbid, but I think that's a big change in me. Before, and I think it's like, okay, well, how much of my career had an impact on that? And how much is that's just life, right? But I think definitely because my career is kind of to look quite deeply at things. It's happened. It's
a spillover.
There's a lot of introspective kind of consideration of what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And sometimes too much.
And I'm going to bat this straight back at you now. Are the same things that motivated you back when you started working for yourself still motivating you now?
No, different. It's changed.
Okay.
I think the things that motivated me before was, I think, just like a clean, simple. Oh, I love that. And sometimes it's like I love how that looks, and I just want to spend time looking at it.
More superficial in a way.
Yeah, but without that, less superficial, more simplistic. Okay. So it's like I love the way that looks. I want to draw it, and then as I started drawing things, I started learning things that I never would have known. And I think that I won't spend too much time preaching about the benefits of drawing, but I think that's having a whole career of basically really looking at something and focusing on it. You realize the depth of something is far more than the appearance of it. So I think that's kind of the biggest transition. Just spending years drawing stuff just kind of changes that.
I understand that. What about you, Charlotte? So the motivation maybe, let's say, how much was it a motivation of the circumstance you were in? So we're coming, redundancy was one of the catalysts that had to force you in a way to think about what was next.
Yep.
So I guess some of the motivation has changed, right?
Definitely. I think my motivation at the beginning was a little bit of prove myself, if I'm completely honest.
Going back to your watch me do this.
Yeah, probably that part. And now my motivation is definitely more driven by the people I've met along the journey. So I've met some incredible people that I've worked with as brides and grooms, or even like we do lots more. So we do dinner dances, we work with a lot of charities, we're in the community a lot. And I think that is more my motivation now. And as much as like we can keep going as a wedding business, and that's great, we can keep giving people these incredible days, but actually some of the more motivating events can be the charity events, or even things like we do like celebrations of life, and sometimes you do those events that are quite small and actually they're so meaningful that they're the motivation to keep driving the business, to be able to keep helping more people.
So I guess even your definition of purpose and meaning changes too. And it's not to say that you've had a disconnect with that. I don't think that's what you're saying about doing weddings.
No.
But there is potentially a deeper connection.
Yeah.
With some of the other events and the impact that you're making in the community now.
Yeah, definitely. The more people we
whereas
can
before,
help.
maybe we need some weddings in to pay for the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You all, without exception, now hire people. And I wanted to ask a question about control. So we all are the people that start our own businesses, and then at some point maybe we get to a point where they scale and we can't do it on our own anymore. Maybe that happens quite quickly. For me, it took 4.5 years. But how do you feel relinquishing control and letting someone else represent what you've built, Manuel?
Thanks for putting me on the spot there.
Your staff are over there.
Yeah. I love them all. They're fantastic. At the very beginning, you obviously need to set the style tone, I guess, of what you want the business to do. But, you know, the old colloquialism, two heads are better than one. I mean, there's countless ideas that people have come up with that I didn't come up with. You know, what if we do this? What if we do that? Or what if we put this over here? You know, something as simple as moving tables or things like that. You know, you start to take on all those suggestions, differences of opinions. You know, it's better if we do things this way. It's better if we do things that way, et cetera, et cetera. So you very, very quickly learn that even though you might have set the table, it doesn't necessarily mean that the way things are going to be served, if we want to continue with the analogy, are going to continue in that same manner. Okay. You know, so yeah.
I think it's nice when you find people that you can collaborate with and you take ideas, because the genesis of the idea is from you, and then the people you meet along the way or the people you hire along the way, collaborate with along the way.
And I tell you what, one of the great things, one of the big reasons why we started this bookshop was because of the way Leigh is, right? When we saw that, you know, everything here is independent, the way that people really cared about keeping things independent, you know, and then as soon as we opened, people from outside started coming in and saying, ooh, you know, can I come in and do this? You know, and people wanted to do events such as this one, but either other smaller things, you know, can I bring, you know, my 5 friends here and discuss a book, and we want to have our own like personal little book club here, and you know, all those kinds of things you end up kind of assimilating and
it shapes
taking,
it, right? Yeah, it leaves a mark as you continue to go on.
Yeah.
Charlotte, what about you? Just going back to that point about hiring people, relinquishing control, your team is now getting bigger and you have to trust that people are going to represent your brand in the right way. How do you cope with that?
Definitely one of the hardest parts is hiring. I think any business owner would say that. I think even if it's not your business, hiring is still a very hard part of the job.
Preach. I mean, recruitment, it's a real challenging thing. Yeah.
But when you find the right people, it's a bit magic, really, because you get people that are willing to sort of go the same way as you and like follow the same path as yours, or not just like or like helping shape that business. But it's not easy. And actually, like, giving up control is probably one of the hardest things I find in the business.
Because as much as you know as you grow, it's a necessary thing to happen.
Oh, definitely. You can't grow without giving some of it up.
It's quite humbling as well to realise that some people can actually do aspects of your job better than you can.
Yeah, shame.
But I think it's really important to be able to embrace and admit that. Luke, what about you? How have you found hiring? Much smaller scale, but how have you found
So I have a lovely assistant, Laura. And to be honest, it was at a point where I'd had Harry, so my firstborn, and I just could not see how I could possibly do it all by myself. So we put an ad out, on Instagram just saying like, who wants to join this quite strange situation I have. Interviewed a few people, and interviewed Laura, and just had this instant connection. I felt that just at ease, and I just felt like I really liked her. And I think that I was maybe 4-5 years ago now. I'm not very good with time. And I couldn't have done so much of what I've done without her help. So it's been like, I mean, Laura would be really good at telling you how hard it is for me to let go of control. Because then you get the real picture. But yeah, I mean, my artistry is very much me doing the work. But what it has enabled is that all the stuff around making a living out of your art. So like literally you have to create this product, which are these prints, and you have to get them. There's so much work other than drawing. So bringing Laura in to help with all of that other stuff has enabled so much more productive work and ultimately drawing. Do you wish you'd done it sooner? Because it seemed to happen obviously when Harry was born. I don't think I could have done it. It's a kind of a combination of having big enough projects to. So I gradually over the years I've kind of diversified my income. You have to do that, I think, if you work for yourself, especially if you're an artist. So I had to get to the point where I had enough kind of branches going off in different directions that, in the studio there was enough coming in. And don't get me wrong, there are times. This is why I was kind of reluctant to say about the security thing earlier, because there have been times actually in the last couple of years through the summer where I'm thinking, okay, I'm so dependent on collectors. So there's been times where it's like it's quite difficult because maybe there's not so much going on in the studio. So it's really hard, but ultimately essential to bring someone in to kind of help you with that.
Has hiring and now managing people given you any more empathy for bosses that you've had historically? And by that I mean, do you think that maybe some of your behaviours were ideal for some of your managers as you were coming up? Can you empathise maybe with some certain experiences you had where maybe historically you thought, what an arsehole, and now you're sat there thinking, actually they were just trying their best?
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's an honest answer.
I think you've got some serious boss stories going on back there.
But has it informed the way you manage people? Those maybe not so positive experiences have informed the way you lead and the way you manage?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
My bosses have all been pretty like, I've not had a negative experience really with a boss for the previous companies I've worked for. So it's really hard to kind of be in a position where I'm like, have I learnt from that? But I think definitely I know that I can just be a bit of a nightmare, because a lot of the time it's like I'm really kind of turbulent with my emotions, and it goes with the project and how the project's going. So I know that sometimes what works really well is when the studio is me, my wife Lizzie, and Laura. It's like perfect energy. But then sometimes when, like, I mean, Lizzie, she's home, like, I mean, we've had a newborn baby, so like she's not in the studio as much. And then my section of the energy is bigger, so it's more kind of dominant on the overall mood. And frankly, this year's been really stressful, so it's really impactful. So
it changes the dynamic.
Definitely the
Yep.
empathy element of like empathizing with Laura. But I think I'm quite good at being like just calling it out and saying, I'm sorry, Laura, I'm feeling really bad today. Just apologizing when you know that you're having an impact on someone else.
Easier in a smaller business.
Yeah.
In a smaller, more closely knit team, slightly more difficult when you've got layers of management, I guess. But Charlotte, what about you?
We're still quite a small team, albeit like a bigger business, but I think it's only made me want to care more as a manager, boss, whatever you want to.
What are you comfortable calling yourself?
So normally like boss. No. I just would rather everyone. I think you need to be able to talk to each other, and you need to be able to. Someone might be having a bad day, and actually being able to work with that rather than. I mean, sometimes you need to leave things at the door. I get that. But I suppose what's important to someone is going to affect what they're doing that day. And actually, if you can like empathise with that, then you're going to get more from those people.
Well, you want to create a safe enough environment for people to...
definitely got to be safe.
It's so hard, isn't it? That line at the door. I used to have that from managers all the time. Just leave it. Just park it for now. Why are you thinking about that? But how hard is that to separate work and life so much that you can just just leave your baggage at the door and come in? So
I have always had incredible like bosses, like you said, Luke. Actually, I haven't really got any complaints, but I think it's made me focus on the good parts of some of those and want to only be like that and try my best to be.
Isn't that great though? Like you're cherry picking the good experiences you've had or the best parts of the experiences you've had, and they, I don't know, if you inspiration, mentors, whether officially or unofficially, all leave a mark, don't they? As you're going through. Okay, I kind of wanted to use that segment to try and get some stories about you being nightmares for previous bosses, but it hasn't gone down that route. Maybe we'll do a separate podcast. 100%.
Go on then.
Yeah, no,
I had feedback once that one of my feedbacks on a review was like that I was a maverick.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I felt like that was the peak of my career. And then shortly after that,
just on the decline after that. A maverick.
Yeah, literally maverick.
That's so cool. Wow.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. I'm genuinely so proud of you right now.
I never
just
said that.
slam your wings on the table and walk out.
Okay, another statement. I'm bigger these up. It doesn't seem to be having the desired impact right now. The perfect work-life balance doesn't exist. True or false?
Yeah, agree.
Okay.
True.
As in, it doesn't exist.
No.
It doesn't exist. What do you think? Because we are all being fed the line that we should be striving for balance.
No,
even more so
does.
now. You think it does? Okay.
I mean, just you're like,
Show me.
just the fact that I don't have to do a hour and a half, 2 hour commute each way every day. Just that right there is
That's an aspect.
Has completely changed the balance, and tilted it the other way.
I remember speaking to you before we ever started recording, and this was at the kind of the first spark of an idea, and you were saying about being able to take your kids to school or your child to school. Like that makes such a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But switching off, the mental side of it, that inability, as we've all kind of agreed, not being able to switch off and not being able to shut your laptop or switch your computer off at 5:30 and...
Well, fortunately for this business in particular, that doesn't really happen because there's no, there's no deadlines. There's this massive project with, thousands of moving parts and we got to figure everything out to get it going and so on and so forth. So that doesn't really happen in this business, but I can see how in somewhere else, that would be the case.
I think using one of your lines actually is, if I zoom out...
I love getting quoted back at me. Okay.
You love that one, don't you? If you zoom out, my work-life balance is great, that I get to take my kids to school, I get to pick them up, I get to do play dates, I get to be with them in the holidays. Summer is slightly different, but I can be around and I don't miss out on, I don't have to ask for time off to go to productions or...
sports days.
Yeah, or if I want to see friends, I can meet them for a coffee and I don't have to make that work around a time that I'm meant to be working. But the work-life balance is then on me, but I will decide to do something which will then mean I'll have to work into the evening or I will have to miss out on something because I've taken on something big. So I suppose the work-life balance is more that I'm choosing that work-life balance rather than someone else's.
But people have now said work-life integration, which again, these are all just semantics, I think, for the same thing.
I like balance. I like the word balance because
I like the word balance, but how achievable and realistic is it?
Okay, so the reason I kind of highlight that, I think this balance is not a stationary position, so it's in motion. I think that's what I've realised. At times where I have the deadline and I have that intense workload and hours, that's when I'm like going one way. But I know after that I can swing back the other way. So like you said, when you zoom out, you step back and look at it more holistically. Balance is there. It's in most people's lives. hopefully, but it is often just in constant motion, back and forth, back and forth. So that's why I think balance is perfect, because you just kind of get this idea of just this teetering of balance.
Yeah, no, it's a good analogy.
I think a lot of people think of it, don't they? That it's like every day.
Yeah, where am I now? What's my balance like right now?
But actually, it can be all over the show.
Yeah.
So a previous guest, Ben, who is one of the founders of a company called Remade, he said that he framed it quite in a really positive way, that how honoured he was to have created something that is causing him this, like taking up that mental capacity, but it's his choice. He's used that autonomy that he had to build something, and it's an honour. He finds it as an honour. I think a lot of people that buy his stuff are probably listening, but he sees it as an honour to have that mental capacity taken up by his work. So I think that is a good way to frame it sometimes when we're sat there maybe stretched for long periods of time, or stressed, or making these sacrifices that we all have to make. It's our choice.
Oh, and it certainly makes all the difference, spending that time doing something that you like, rather than doing something that you absolutely hate and it's just trudging. Do I love reading, 20 book catalogs a month? No. But at the end of the day, you do find, bits in it that you enjoy.
Again, zoom out and see what life and work look like over the course of a week, a month, a quarter, then it changes everything.
Yeah.
We've all got kids of similar ages. How conscious are you of the behaviours you're role modelling to your children? We spoke about this in your episode, having 2 daughters, and being very proud of the fact you go to work, and speaking about that in a really positive way when you're speaking about that with your daughters as well. But so it's a leading question for you, because I guess I know the answer. But are you conscious of the behaviour you're role modelling, or are you just pleased with what you're...
Oh, absolutely. Even tonight, taking my children off to my mum so I could be here.
Thank you.
Nora said to me, which is my oldest, well, where are you going tonight? And I said, oh, Mummy's going to do this. And she said, I did that today. I stood on a stage because she had to practice a line for a Christmas event. And actually her saying that she was confident enough to do it, and she said, you'll be fine, Mummy, you're good at things like that, and actually was lovely that she understands that I might feel a little bit nervous, but she gave me a little bit of confidence. She's heard my podcast because I had it on in the car before. She does say, remember that time you were on the radio? And I'm like, it wasn't quite on the radio, but
Yes, I do.
That's next, why not? But she knows, she completely understands my work. My youngest has no idea. But she gets that I love it at the same time. I never talk to her about work in a negative way. And if I hope that they can one day have some sort of career that they talk about positively, whatever that may be.
I love that from our conversation. And I think it was a particular poignant time for me, is because in my previous job I would always moan about going to work. I'd walk out the door, I mean, so you can attest to this, every day, Sunday dread, all of these things. I hated going to work. And then you have children, and then fortunately the timing of me setting up the business, our son was 1, and I've made it a point to never say I don't want to go to work today. I hate work. And there are days where I hate it, if I'm honest with you. I don't think it's realistic to not hate aspects of what you do at the very least. But I am conscious of the behaviour that I'm role modelling. And I want, again, the same reason I started the podcast. I want him to be inspired in some way, shape or form, to go off and find something that gives him purpose and passion and meaning. And I think it's important words have impact. I'm sorry, I might have led you on this one, but what are you conscious of it? What you're role modelling to your children?
I don't think she's conscious about any sort of thing like that. Okay. The only thing that she sees is that she gets to go and sit in the back, and there's a bunch of books that she's never read, and she can sit there and read all of them.
Yeah,
that's
going to have an impact like that, and I know you know that. I think that is going to be an imprint that is left with her. What an incredible environment to be in as a kid.
For sure. She's just loving
beautiful,
it. Yeah. Definitely. But I don't think she sees, my dad does this and he's going to do that, and that's fantastic. So I think.
But maybe that'll come later.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. Luke, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think my work's fairly unique in that it's very interwoven to my life. You know, it's very much a part of the subject, especially now as I'm a parent. I find myself incapable of removing that part of me from my art, and I think at first I resisted it. It was such a big role. I couldn't see it fitting with my artistry, and now I've just brought it in and accepted that it is the key part of it. You know, the empathy that comes with all of that education of being a parent. In terms of Harry's awareness, or is it you want to ask my awareness, right? Our awareness.
The awareness.
I don't know. I think I'm not the person to best describe it, but Harry is very much like, you know, half term, you know, like I have deadlines. So I have him in, and I have him in the print studio, and I give him these kind of tasks. One of them was, actually it was quite amusing. I had a whole roll of masking tape and I tore it into tiny pieces, and he covered the whole postal tube in these pieces in the studio, and I was like, thanks so much, Harry. Like he's a part of the studio, because in a way he has to be, but I know he's loving it and I'm loving it, and like he loves it when I kind of would turn prints on the press, and I'm really proud to be giving him that. And we've got time together, and I did express, this is like how open I am on kind of like socials and things. I had this guilt. Everyone was going away, and I was obviously bringing Harry into the studio, putting him to work. And then I realised, I was like, actually, observing him, he's having the best time. And we're together. And then I think, okay, and you just kind of accept that. So I'm aware of that. I'm grateful for it, really grateful.
Mine's too little to reach the coffee machine.
Train up
At some point.
Who are you doing it for? Who are you doing this for? We had this conversation again. I think there's a narrative that says that we, as parents, and sorry if you're not a parent, but I think it's important for the panel, again, having similarly aged kids, who you're doing it for. And I remember making this point with you. I think sometimes there can be a degree of guilt from saying I'm doing it for me. The byproduct is obviously that my children are supported and they have a certain lifestyle, and they have a house and food and heating in the winter. But so much of the drive is, I'll say it first, is for me. I have my things that I want to achieve for myself. So how comfortable are you admitting that that's part of it, or is it part of it? Because there are parents out there that would say, I'm doing it all for my kids.
That's a really good question. I mean, my last long-term job before this, I never went into the office. I worked from home. So the whole, being there, doing the school run, doing this, doing that was not a problem. Would I have left if the company hadn't gone under? I don't know. That's a big unknown.
What about you, Luke?
I think the best thing you can do for everyone that you love and loves you back is something for yourself. Right? So I think ultimately the thing that led me into this career path and my life I lead is me wanting to do it. And it feels like a kind of a selfish thing if you kind of just focus on that one point. But then you think the knock-on effect is I'm a more content person. I guess you become a more authentic you if your purpose is aligned with your ethos and what you want to produce and what you want to do. So it's just quite obvious that then benefits everyone around you that cares about you. The only people it will upset is the people that aren't genuinely interested in your well-being. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's really, if everyone's true with themselves, if they have a pursuit, I think the way it gets is it's like nuance when people start things that are far bigger than themselves, like gold geese. That's a whole that's what's so beautiful about that, is like I think that's a calling that they hear that is way bigger than themselves. And then the podcast all over about gold, I was in tears because I've had that experience of my own child in hospital and going through that sense of isolation and everything. I can see how those experiences, especially the experience to that depth can be more transformative, and actually then you go, I'm going to do this for a bigger reason than myself. But actually, so yeah, I don't know, maybe it's not always the case of doing it solely for yourself, or maybe not solely. Sorry, I'm rambling. I do.
No, you're not. No,
I've inherited that.
I think they're really fair points. Do you think, as a mum, there is more pressure to? Well, I think it's. Hopefully, it's.
Yes.
It's just harder.
All the mums out there.
I mean, but with specifically being able to say out loud, I'm doing this for me. I've got my own goals, my own drives, my own things that I want to achieve.
Slightly, just because you could go along with what's out there of I'm doing this for my kids. And there's a lot of it that I do for my kids, but actually the business I'm definitely doing for myself. Showing them what I'm doing for them a little bit, but like this gives me joy, gives me a passion. I enjoy doing it. That then I'm a better mum.
That's in part what Luke said.
That then am I doing it for them? Not necessarily, no, because I could go and do any job for them and
it's
earn
a bit
money.
chicken and egg.
It's complex.
The
It's a
side
complex one.
effects
Yeah.
is this thing because you started doing it for your own, but then it had these.
It takes a level of awareness, though, to be able to connect the dots sometimes, because I think it's the gas mask thing, right? Put your own gas mask on, and then the positive effects will start to filter down. It was just I was just interested from my perspective. I think there's a degree of societal pressure sometimes to have to say, especially when you've got kids, I'm doing it for them, or in part I'm doing it for them. When actually you can. Is it selfish to just say out loud, I'm doing it for me and my own fulfillment? You don't need to answer that, but that's where I was going with it. I'm conscious that I want you guys to ask some questions. If no one heard that noise. So I am going to ask for almost a yes or no answer to this question, and then leave it open-ended. And then we're going to come out and ask some questions, hopefully. So start thinking of
Someone ask a question.
one or two.
Also,
yeah.
yes or no.
To Josh.
please.
Yeah. Maybe not to me. Okay, so to all of you, can you say with confidence that you now know what you want to be when you grow up?
No. I'll find
So you can
it.
say confidently no.
Yes, if you give me like 5 options.
Okay.
Let's hope Luke's got this.
Yeah, go on.
Is there a yes?
Yes.
Oh, good. Artist.
So you
right.
can say you've landed on the thing you want to be doing when you grow
I
up.
can't not do it.
Okay.
Now.
Because again, just to explain why I've asked that question, the opening tradition on the podcast is always when you were younger, what do you want to be when you grew up? So I think sometimes as we progress through life, there's pressure again to feel like you have to have found what you want to do. And do you agree with that, or to a degree, like when are you going to get your proper job? When are you going to find your vocation? When are you going to find your calling?
Yeah, but what I also think is it doesn't matter if you change along the way.
Neither do
so
I
think I had a massive problem when I got made redundant. So my previous job was interior designer. We actually did the same course at uni, didn't we?
Was it the same
Yeah.
uni?
So,
Not
not the same uni, but the same course.
You were there.
I didn't see.
She sat
There,
right
the whole
next
time.
to
We
you.
didn't know who it was. That I felt, so I'd done a whole degree in that and spent a huge amount of money on doing that I felt that was what I was supposed to do. And now I'm doing something completely different. Yes, lots of skills, you can transition. But if I end up doing something else in 10 years' time, I'm okay with that. I don't think just what I'm doing now is what I could do forever.
Exactly. I think that's why you so confidently said no.
Yeah, because I
point.
don't think it's I actually think a lot of people still worry about that, thinking that's all I've ever been or that's all I ever should be. But actually, if there's something else, it doesn't matter. And you might fall into it or you might push yourself into it, and that's okay.
I think that's it. I'm a complete advocate for that, for the fact that we can all have squiggly careers and change it up whenever we want. I think and it's really heartening to think that and to know that what you're doing now does not have to be forever.
Yeah.
Right. I would love some questions from the audience. We have, I'm going to say 5 minutes or so to open it up. We were going to record, but now you can just shout. Yeah, basically, you
Just
don't really
yell
need to
real
shout.
loud.
But has anyone got any questions for the panel? Please don't make this awkward. Oh, thank you so much. Okay. Oh, and what's your name?
We have one.
My name's Kerry.
Kerry. Very nice to meet you, Kerry.
Hi, Kerry.
I was talking to you earlier and I was saying that I very much aligned with what you were saying. I really liked the way that you answered some questions. It was really interesting to hear from a male's perspective what it's like to kind of have a business. What I'd like to know from all of you is, it's a bit nosy.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's why everyone's here.
That's what the podcast is.
It's like the bit you're saying, right, is money. So if you're in a job like my other half is, that it's a just relentless job, and I know that he's creative and he'd like to do what you're doing, we're not in a financial position for him to stop doing what he's doing, to be able to switch over and do that. So do you think that you need to come from I'm going to say place of privilege to be able to switch and do that? Because I think you need to come from like a £3,000 a month salary, which you're guaranteed not to get anymore, to do something where how long is it going to be before you start getting that money back and you struggle?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good question.
So
Privilege was the thing that came into my head.
Yes, privilege. Maybe not have to, but there needs to be a point of privilege. Mine was my lack of responsibility at the time of making that jump. And that I'm aware of that now because it'd be much, much harder now because of the reliance involved and everything around that. So that being said, it wasn't like, oh, okay, I've got money in the bank. It was just like I was at a point where I could take the risk because I knew my print sales were kind of doing it. And I was aware that if I took it and it failed, I could go back. I was confident I can come back. It's not as scary as it.
Like an overlap.
Massive overlap. Yeah. This is why I might have got the Maverick comment, because I was doing my other work within work. Okay, I confess.
But that's a really interesting point, because not everyone is going to be cut and shut. I'm closing this door and then starting another one. That transition, it can be a Venn diagram. It can be a blurred transition.
Massively. It's a point where money is so important. And I kind of come across this, and actually in the world of artists, there's so much of that. And actually I can find it quite frustrating when clearly someone is able to have this in complete freedom because they have the privilege of, frankly, the bank of mum and dad, which is something that I never had, and had to find a workaround. I never wanted to be an artist. I did not set out to be an artist. I love drawing. Our mum is an artist, and I frankly, I just saw how difficult it was, and I thought, I want to draw, but that's why I kind of went through the design route. So it was really strange, kind of coming back around. But I think there's so much of that kind of privilege, even in the design industry, like people doing the internships. You go into certain roles, everyone went to private school, and it's like. There's so much of it, and like you can tell now, it's kind of, I find it quite frustrating that there's a lot of that going on, and I feel for people in that situation whereby they have this potential talent and creative idea, but they're stuck, and frankly, money is so important to that, but the overlap is key.
I think it's a great question, and I'd love to take the answer from everyone, but I'm going to ask another question now, if that's okay. I think there is a degree of privilege. That's what came into my head. I do think that is, but it doesn't have to be cut and shut. I think that transition can happen very gradually. Yep. Anyone else got a question?
Yeah.
Laura, we're going to come to you next. That's all right. No, it's fine. Go for it. Go for it. Go on. That's all right.
Okay, yeah, it just goes back to that balance. And from my own experience, do you recognise the point in business, if you get to that business, where the change between you running the business and the business running you, is that recognisable?
Come on, Manuel, you made a noise.
I made a noise. Yes, I think the point it's very recognizable. I mean, I've had an unfortunate circumstance with my family, my parents, and suddenly your concerns switch and you think, well, now we're not just sailing along. Now there's this gigantic pitfall. And now rather than me, I don't want to say being the captain of my own domain, but letting things kind of flow, the business has now got a hold of you because of those circumstances. And you can definitely, I think you can definitely recognize it for sure. Or alternatively, if you can't just kind of delegate, then again, the business has gotten a hold of you. And I haven't experienced that, but I have worked in other places where I've seen that, where the person initially delegated everything, but got to a certain point where they were just, I don't know if mistrusting, or maybe they felt their vision wasn't being done the way they wanted, and they started taking back control, and all of a sudden things just started going south because nothing was being done, because nothing would get done unless that person picked and decided every single, micromanaged.
They become the conduit, don't they? That everything has to run
they
through for
micromanage,
something
and
to
then
happen.
suddenly the business has now taken them over.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, if you can identify it, then get ahead of it. Maybe
I think it's often our loved ones around us that see it before us, right?
Yeah, that'd be a good point.
You're like, they see the stress before we're really fully aware of it. So it's like listening to all of that as well. But yeah, there's always going to be a point when you're working for yourself where that happens, I think.
Definitely. Laura, do you want me to admit what happened in a live setting?
Yeah.
I want to. So Laura and me had, I'm going to say it, one of the best podcast episodes that I've ever recorded. It didn't record.
Oh no!
And Laura and I've promised Laura in so many different guises that I'm gonna make it up to her, and it's still not happened. So I want to take this opportunity to
pressure is
apologise.
on.
I know it is on. So I am so sorry.
Make up to you by giving you the best client of your life.
There you go.
Wow,
That's
no
it.
context.
You have got
No context
35
needed.
witnesses.
Everyone can come
That
to
is-
another life.
Yeah,
This could be another live.
that is Laura's profession. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, if it's not, it's weird.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right, Laura, what's
She's
your
actually,
question?
she just owns a
That's a
coffee
sound.
Yeah. She dabbles. She dabbles.
My question is, obviously Charlotte mentioned there's still options there and open prospectus future. Have any of you got goals that you potentially would be employed again to do a certain career or fill a position?
Great question.
That is really good.
It's really good. It's very
I
good.
don't think, I would never say never, but I don't think I could be employed again. I think I've got too used to being my own decision maker. I don't know if I could go back under.
Yeah, I'll second that. I couldn't do it. It's 6 years of working for myself, and I spent 7.5 working for someone else, and I can't imagine a scenario where I would go back to being managed again, or anything that would draw me enough to do it. What about
I would
you?
have to think really hard about a scenario where I would say, yeah, I'll go there. Like really hard.
I think.
Here he goes.
It was just going to be a clean slate.
By the way, in the break, John took me outside and he said, "You don't have to pick apart every question I ask." So I'm not going to do that. I'm exposing you there, brother.
Right after that, did he say, don't say anything?
Yeah. No, but I think I work in the world of books, and as part of
Do you?
that, I do.
That's brand new information.
And working with publishers, it's kind of like, you have the deadlines, you have the expectation of producing the work. And I think, although I'm not working technically for someone else,
Said book.
there are commitments that you need to make. And I think even the illusion is like, instead of a boss, you have clients, and I think your clients are so much more important when you're working for yourself, clients and customers. So I think that.
But it's an interesting one, because I thought of everyone in this panel, you would be the most definite no way. Like, hell no,
I
I'm
wouldn't.
not doing it.
No, I wouldn't.
Right, okay.
But then I was like, but then I'm thinking, no, I wouldn't. But then also when I'm thinking that, my brain goes on a tangent. I think, I kind of do. because I work for publishers.
You've got clients,
but no,
I know what you
in
mean.
terms of the sense of having a boss, I was never really good at that anyway.
Okay, more
So-
maverick, exactly. Yeah. But it sounded like a compliment, if I'm honest with you. So yeah,
That's why I've got nothing bad to say about my past bosses.
good. Okay. What I reckon one more. We got time for one more. One more.
Who's it made you
Name and
redundant?
shame.
Oh, they're not local, so it's not very interesting. They're an incredible company. They're called Zebra, and they do retail design around the world. And I genuinely thought I had my stripes forever, but I don't.
But they are amazing.
They are.
Are they?
I don't know.
Don't know anymore. Don't follow it.
Go on, one more. Great question. One more. Any more?
No.
That's an awkward end, isn't it? Oh, go on, Mike.
Wah, wah.
If you guys had all the money in the world, you still do what you're doing to them?
No.
I actually would.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you would? Luke would? Yeah.
Not all the money in the world.
100%.
That's quite a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, let's say like 10 million quid in the bank.
I think I'd do more of it.
You do more of it.
Yeah. If money wasn't a factor and I had more creative freedom, then I'd be doing more of what I'm doing. Yeah.
No. Still solidly no. If the podcast for me is what the podcast
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, this is my outlet. This is where I get to do the work that I feel something genuinely about. And I started as well. I'm a magpie of sorts. I listen to these conversations of people that has followed these inspiration in the hope that at one point I can follow that as well. So yeah, no. Resounding.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't come in every single day, you know.
Yeah,
But
it would afford you
yeah,
a bit
I
more
would still,
flex.
I would still do
Yeah,
it.
I'd enjoy seeing the pictures of the weddings
Yeah.
from my yacht
Condo
somewhere else.
somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Be great.
Go on, Brad. Give me your last question, mate.
You talk about like careers advice and how you don't rate it. Basically, what would any of you guys do to change like careers advice at school or college or wherever you get it?
Great question.
God, that might be a tough one to end on. It's another
Well,
podcast.
actually, though,
Wait, I'm kind of
you
ignorant
want
on that.
to
What
get
is
into
careers advice?
Oh, terrible advice you get at school about what you should do when you leave.
Yeah.
Oh, like an aptitude test kind of thing.
Well, this is what I mean. The fact that we can't even really.
Yeah.
It's. I think careers advice is desperately lacking in so many areas. It forces kids at an age where our brains haven't even developed yet to make decisions that are going to impact the future of our lives far too early, in my opinion. What would I do to change it? I think there should be some form of system, or it should be more inspiring. It should be led. Me and my brother have spoken about this before. At school, we had no idea of the kind of smorgasbord of opportunity that was out there that you could go down. You were shoved into a channel, usually finance or banking or whatever, 3 or 4 different options. And I just think there needs to be a much more inspiring way to tap into the minds of kids and teenagers to inspire them to go on and do something else.
That didn't exist where I went to school. But they did kind of do, maybe not pigeonhole, but it was the one route. You go to college, you get a degree, whatever you get your degree on, that's what you're going to work on. There was never any conversation, and I try to have this conversation, well, maybe not now with my daughter, but with my wife, we do have this conversation. There's so many other options.
Yeah.
You could be an amazing woodworker. You could be, an artisan. You could be a plumber. University and getting that degree and getting that profession is not the be-all, end-all.
No.
And I think that in education systems nowadays definitely gets way-sided.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Thank you very much for that question.
Come
on.
So in terms of, I'm here to annoy you, brother. Okay.
You disagree.
Yeah.
No, I agree with everything you've been saying, but in terms of like an actionable way to create a more inspiring careers kind of, like the inspiration I think is key, is instead of pouring resources into these structures of teachers trying to work out what children might be when they grow up, just each school having a program of bringing people in that are happy in the work they do. Just literally, instead of running that hour class, you bring a person in to talk about their job. I think it's just a really simple, straightforward way, probably more cost effective than these complex systems that run in the school system. Just bring people in and talk to the students, and then that point of inspiration, because it's normally from an interaction or someone you meet where you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting, especially as a child.
Yeah, that's spark.
So rather than the teacher you see every day being like, oh, well, if you like that, you could do that. That's not engaging. So
which I think it's key, because I don't think you're going to mention this, is actually John would like to do this in a school.
Yeah, I mean, I would
talk to students.
Yeah, to facilitate that conversation again with a panel of people, and in the hope that it inspires students to start thinking differently. I would love that opportunity. So maybe that's the next thing that drives me. We'll see. Okay, thank you so much. We're going to wrap it up there. I want to say thank you again to Manuel and Read on Sea for hosting what hopefully has been an enjoyable experience for you. I've enjoyed it selfishly. I am gonna remind you, because I do it on the episode every week. If you could follow, rate and review the podcast, yeah, exactly. And if you could subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, that support really helps us grow. So if you're able to do that, if you haven't done already, please do.
Yeah, and you won't be let out until you do.
Yeah,
yeah. You could just show it.
Lewis.
Yeah, he's right there. He's right there.
And yeah, on the back of this, so thank you to Read on Sea. Thank you to you guys for sitting and being so seemingly engaged. You've done a really good job of it.
Not leaving.
Yeah, not leaving. Thank you to the guests, and yeah, just generally, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
My cup is really full after that. And on the back of this, grab yourself a drink. Luke's going to be doing some signing. And
any book.
In the book, yeah, any book. And yeah, I just want to give you all a round of applause. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Done. Yeah, we can move it.